Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We're just getting settled here, and we'll get started in just a minute, so you can just hang tight. For those of you joining the room, you'll notice that you will have access to the Q&A box. That box is where you can jot in any questions you have at any time. We may or may not field them live, or just respond to them at the very end. But as things come up, you're welcome to just throw them in there and we'll respond to you. So we're going to give it just another minute as people are joining the room. Thanks so much. Okay, I want to take a minute before we get started here to introduce our presenter and our partner, who's going to walk us through today's presentation, What's Next for Main Street. Josh Yeager is one of the founders, presidents of Bright Brothers Strategy Group. They work across the country with such a variety of businesses, downtown associations, work with a lot of different backgrounds of businesses, almost all locally owned businesses across the country. So they've got such a great pulse on what's happening, what to think about as a local business right now, given the times, and what you should be considering next. So Josh usually comes on and presents to our group at Local First Arizona maybe once a year, and so we're privileged to have him back. And with that, would like to give it over to you, Josh, to start the presentation today. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us.
Thanks so much, Thomas. Thrilled to be back. Love collaborating with Local First, and we've been members of Local First for over a decade now, something that we're truly passionate about. Thomas is going to advance the slides for me, so you may hear me keep saying next, but yeah, this is the slide we want to be on. So thanks for joining us today, you guys. I'm, like you said, I'm Josh Yeager from Bright Brothers Strategy Group. We're a data-driven, people-first consultancy that primarily works with downtowns, districts, and destination marketing organizations. Started in Arizona. The rest of my company is still out in Arizona. I just happen to be in Philadelphia, which is where I'm originally from, and moved back here a couple years ago. We have a background in helping bar, restaurant, retail, hospitality, and independent businesses. That's where the agency started. And like I mentioned, we've been members of Local First for over a decade now. We really believe that a thriving local economy is the backbone of the nation. So LFA is pretty important to us. Next slide. So here you'll see some of the client logos in the different downtowns. Some are local. You'll recognize probably the city of Tempe and downtown Chandler, downtown Tempe. We also work with some other bids and business improvement districts like downtown Austin, downtown Norfolk, a couple in California. But at the heart of things, next slide, it comes down to Main Street, and every Main Street is struggling right now. From the massive hit to business with the pandemic to fickle consumers. Some of them want you open 24/7. Some won't even dare step foot in your business without a mask right now. And external shifts in the economy. There's all kinds of things that are playing and creating pressures for local business. So it's a difficult time. And I know you guys are struggling. A lot of you are struggling, which is why you're here today. When we look at downtowns and main streets, which is who we primarily work with, they're really just a collective of small businesses and independent businesses like yours. Next slide. This is interesting. This is an article from the Associated Press from last month, but I thought it was pretty relevant. I was putting together the content for today's session. It's adapt or else. Downtown businesses cope with the new reality. And it's true that the pandemic forced many changes in behavior. A lot of these things were already afoot, but the pressures of the pandemic changed things. So they really accelerated things like e-commerce and different consumer behaviors and things that we come to expect now that maybe weren't in place before. And the thing is that what I want to underscore is that you have to constantly adapt or else. There's no going back. There is no going back to the way things were before. Even if coronavirus just miraculously evaporated tomorrow, your business is still going to have to change, adapt, or die. So I can't tell you how many times we've said this year, how many times I've written it in articles and trends reports and e-blasts and presentations for international audiences. The only thing that is a new normal that you can consider normal now is change. But change is not a bad thing. You have to look at change as opportunities for growth. And that's what we're going to talk about pretty much today. Next slide. So this means that as business owners, we have to sit down and take a hard look at our business plan and our current revenue streams and our operations and our costs and our suppliers and our customers. And we really need to sit down and have a good old come to Jesus and come to terms with things. Society's changed. Consumers have changed. And I really want you to answer honestly, when was the last time you actually pulled out your business plan and looked at it? It's probably been a while. If it's been over 6 months, I really want you to make a date with Destiny and make time within a month of this webinar to sit down and totally go through your business plan all over again from the beginning. Next slide. Here's what I want you to do. And I kind of mapped this out with icons to kind of make it simple for you. But review your business plan and then identify 3 areas of your business that you have questions about today or that you think are opportunities for growth. Again, things that change radically and they're going to continue to change radically. But look at the original business plan and say, what has changed? Where can I improve? Or maybe I have a question about something, but I don't know the answer. I want you to identify 3 key areas. And then I want you to go to your email database of your customers. And we're going to use that. Create a quick survey. Use Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or some similar tool. And just create like a quick 3 to 10 question survey that you're going to blast out to your email list. So these are your customers you're sending it to. Use a headline, a subject line that says like, we want to hear from you or your opinion matters. And I want you to send out this survey to your customers and ask them to give you honest feedback about things. You should incentivize them with maybe a gift card to your business or a free meal or something that's highly motivational to them and valuable to them, and blast that out. Ask them for their opinion. Solicit their opinion. About a week later, send up a follow-up email and say, time's running out. Please share your feedback with us. And then based on the results and what you hear back, reformulate your business plan based on the lessons learned from the survey. I know this sounds really easy. Some of you are probably really afraid to hear the feedback. Don't be. And this can be a really simple process. Next slide. Even if you're not sure what to ask, maybe if there aren't any questions from your business plan, simply ask these 3 things. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What could we be doing better? Every single business could learn from asking these 3 questions of their customers. And this is basically the way I approach a postmortem for anything that we do when we run a campaign or we do a media buy. After the campaign is over, I sit down and do a quick and dirty postmortem. What worked? What didn't? What can we do better next time? There are 3 really simple questions, and your customers, your fans, your followers are the ones who are going to be there to give you feedback. Next slide. I want you to take the feedback from them and I want you to lean into it. Like really listen to what they have to say and lean into their responses. Next slide. Because the thing is that you only know what you know. And there's no harm and no foul, no fear in listening to the insights of others. Most of us are really busy as business owners. We're busy with heads down. You're in the business. It's tough to take yourself outside of the pressures of emails and calls and financials and paying bills and employees calling out of work and being there for the delivery when that happens. As business owners, we have scant little time to sit back and see the forest for the trees. So you really need to make the time to do that and then listen objectively, 100% objectively. Next slide. 100% is also a number that I use here because 100% of our clients, which range from smaller downtowns like downtown Chandler or individual districts here in Philadelphia, to really massive, well-staffed entities with dozens or hundreds of employees like downtown Baltimore, downtown Dallas, downtown Austin, they all tell us the same thing. We hired you because we need an outside ear. We need an objective third party, and we need an independent opinion to help us reformulate our business strategy and our communications. So again, there's no harm and no foul in asking for help or soliciting outside advice or listening to your customer base about what's truly important to them. And you may be surprised about some of the insights and recommendations, things that you may have never thought of that would be absolutely brilliant and pertain completely 100% to your business. Next slide. The thing is, your best customers are the ones who are going to respond to the survey. They're the ones that are going to give you good feedback. And what you want for best friends are not people who are going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you what you need to hear. So please listen up to what your customers have to tell you. Next slide. So today I'm going to talk about some recurring themes and trends and things that you should be considering for your business right now. Don't worry if you don't catch everything. You can always access it on our website. There's a library of content on the resources tab on our website that has trends reports, recommendations, all kinds of resources. Just hit the resources tab. Next slide. And while a lot of that content you'll see is focused on main streets or downtowns or districts or destination marketing organizations, all of the underlying principles and the lessons and the strategies and the trends, all of those marketing recommendations are 100% applicable to your business. So when you think about a main street, it's just really an interconnected collective of businesses like yours. So even though in the trends reports, you may be seeing your downtown, your district, just consider my business. What does this mean for my business? I'm going to take a second to apologize to you guys. As most of us working from home, my home office is here in my loft. And I've been waiting for months and months and months to have the plumbers come and fix my faucet. And of course, they decided to do it now. So if you hear some noise in the background, I apologize. We're going to jump into 4 things that I'm going to talk about now on the next slide. This is really the crux of what we're going to talk about today. Excuse me while I sip my coffee. The 4 things we're going to talk about came from a survey that Local First Arizona sent out. So Local First surveyed you guys, their member base, and said, what's really important to you right now? And I asked Thomas, what's important to these guys? What do they want to hear about? And then I specifically developed this webinar today from that. So we're going to talk about opportunities for networking and collaboration. We're going to talk about childcare for employees. We're going to talk about how to deal with negative customers attacking your staff. And I know that's a big one for a lot of you guys. And then we're going to dive into a couple more marketing trends. But first, next slide, we're going to talk about networking and collaboration. And the majority of you guys said we want more meaningful networking opportunities and ideas to collaborate with other businesses around them. So Thomas was like, do you have any good examples, or have you seen any businesses working together, building relationships or relying on partnerships moving forward? The answer is absolutely yes. I've seen lots of examples of this. I'm going to go through a couple with you. Next slide. This is one of the things that I've seen done successfully time and time again. And this is called a Cascade or Waterfall promotion. And I actually found a Waterfall promotion that had a waterfall. This is from a tourism bureau that put this together. But you've probably seen these online and maybe even entered them yourselves. It's where multiple businesses come together and collectively promote a giveaway. And each business will pitch something into the prize pool, and then you'll all share in the data collection. So this is really easy to do. If you have a next door neighbor business or a business down the street that you get along with, or your businesses align somehow, get together and put together a Cascade or Waterfall promo. Next slide. Here's an example of one that was pretty cool that I saw. I screenshotted this a couple years ago. There's a local independent hotel here in Philadelphia called Local Hotel, of all things. But what they did was they partnered up with a florist on their street, a restaurant on their street, and another type of business. But collectively, they put things together and they said, follow all 4 of our businesses on Instagram and tag 2 of your friends in the post. And when the sweepstakes is up, we'll select our winners. So some people won a staycation at the hotel. Some people won a $100 gift card. Some people won dinner. Some people won bouquets of flowers. But what they did was collectively, they increased their followers and they all shared. So no one business had to put too much into it. And by working together in proxy with one another, they all reap the benefits of this. This is really brilliant. And this works incredibly well in social media. This one happened to be on Instagram. You can do it on Facebook. You could do it on just about any platform where you can tag other businesses. Next slide. So we did this a couple years ago with a couple of our clients. So at the time, we were working directly with the Tempe Tourism Office, who's still our client, the Downtown Tempe Authority, still our client, and the Tempe Center for the Arts. They're no longer our client. We have a great relationship with them. It just wasn't in the budget. But what we did was put together this ultimate Tempe experience. So I pitched the idea to all of the founders of these organizations and said, this is what we're going to do. You all need help building your email databases. You all need to increase your fans and followers. And if each one of you pitches in a nominal amount of budget that we can run some ads and reach out to your networks and get some prizes, we'll put together this ultimate Tempe experience. It was phenomenally successful. Next slide. The next slide really shows you, one, what the campaign objectives were. We wanted to increase brand awareness of Tempe overall, from downtown to the outskirts to just minutes from Phoenix and Scottsdale. We wanted to increase email acquisition for database growth. We wanted to create media opportunities to leverage Tempe points of interest, earn media for Tempe, and fan growth and engagement through social media. We accomplished all of those things. So basically, you can see on this results slide, we had some really great stats. We didn't have very much budget as far as dollars spent promoting the thing. But what we did do, and probably the most meaningful thing here, was we acquired about 1,300 new email addresses for Tempe Tourism, Downtown Tempe, and Tempe Center for the Arts. And we had some questions like, well, lots of people join sweepstakes and they do these kind of things and then they unsubscribe later. We actually saw less than a 3% attrition from that specific email list over the course of 2 years. So over the course of 2 years, those people were interested. They were interested and engaged to begin with, and they signed up and they continued to receive the individual e-blasts and newsletters from Tempe Tourism, Downtown Tempe, and Tempe Center for the Arts. So that I thought was a really successful example of a campaign or Cascade Waterfall promotion you guys would enjoy. Next slide. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I have a new faucet. Awesome. So on this next slide, so a question again about networking collaboration opportunities. So obviously you guys are doing really well because you're members of Local First Arizona, or you're here right now because you're interested in Local First Arizona. LFA puts on some amazing networking opportunities every month. They do them in different parts of the valley. So if you're not any more involved with LFA than you are other than attending this webinar, lean in. Again, this is an opportunity for you to meet fellow independent business owners. Another opportunity would be the Phoenix Chamber. I don't know how many of you have worked with them. We've done some educational seminars with several chambers. They all do an amazing job of supporting local businesses. Next one I would say is look at Valley Metro. Valley Metro, you may not think of Valley Metro as being a partner that you should partner with, but if you're anywhere on light rail or any of the infrastructure that Valley Metro oversees, they have marketing dollars and they do quite a bit to support the local economy. They have networkers, they have educational sessions, they even create things like this Shop On program, which is for Downtown Tempe, but they are investing in the local community and creating networking opportunities. Next, I'd like to take a higher level up. You can look at the Arizona Office of Tourism. That's the blue logo in the lower left-hand corner. So at a statewide level, AOT is responsible for promoting Arizona, but they also have a number of grants and programs that are available. They have networking opportunities, and they have co-op marketing dollars available. And they have some pretty cool co-op marketing opportunities listed right on their website. So check them out. Next level down, look at your local CVB, your Convention and Visitors Bureau, your tourism office. So that would be like the Tempe Tourism Office, or Visit Chandler, or Experience Scottsdale, or Visit Phoenix. Those organizations are also responsible for promoting individual towns and municipalities, but they all do an excellent job at driving revenue and economic impact through destination marketing campaigns. They all have member opportunities. They all do mixers. They all do educational forums. So that's another great resource at your fingertips. And then lastly, get really micro and look individually at the bid or business improvement district, your downtown or your district, like downtown Tempe, downtown Phoenix, downtown Chandler. Same deal as before, but they work at a very local level and with a defined footprint to provide enhanced amenities, marketing, and business support. I'm going to circle back and talk about those guys in a little bit because I'm going to key you into like a really big underground secret that I think you're going to take advantage of. But those are for in-person collaboration. On the next slide, here are some opportunities for you to collaborate digitally. I have done entire webinars and seminars and speaking engagements around Google My Business. I'm only going to say this once. If you're not on Google My Business right now and you're not actively using it and going in and responding to reviews, soliciting reviews, uploading photos, uploading your sales, uploading your events, your new menus or whatever, this is all on you. If your business is struggling and you're not using Google My Business, this is your fault. Go in, claim your Google My Business profile and use it actively. I could talk for hours and hours and hours about this, but it's the single most important thing you can do from a marketing perspective online for your business, regardless of what type of business you have. And then online collaboration and networking opportunities. So Facebook has really shifted a lot of its efforts towards Facebook groups. You maybe won't be able to participate with a group as your business profile on Facebook, but if you have a personal profile, you can certainly go on. I have a friend who is a foodie influencer, foodie blogger out in the suburbs. She said that the single largest source of traffic to her website comes from her posts that she shares in her Facebook groups. So she's in a local Downingtown, where she lives, Downingtown group. There's a Chester County group. And she talks about recipes, and she talks about restaurants, and she talks about where she goes. That sends a ton of traffic, but she's being a good neighbor, and she is communicating and interacting with people. And a lot of businesses do that. The other opportunity would be Nextdoor. Businesses have to pay to play to be on Nextdoor, but you can set up your own profile. For example, Robin Trick, who's the owner of House of Tricks, she could potentially go on to Nextdoor and talk to her neighbors and say, hey, do you guys know we're rolling out our seasonal menu? I'd love to see you in the restaurant. Stop by and see me if you come in. So these are opportunities for networking and collaboration digitally. Next slide, we're going to talk about childcare for employees. This is not something that's really necessarily in my bailiwick, but I did some research and I got some information for you guys. So what we heard from the survey again is that a lot of Main Street businesses are having a hard time with childcare issues and workforce. And Thomas said, do you have any creative solutions here? So if we look at the next slide, obviously childcare is a big concern. 2020 data from Bureau of Labor said that only 11% of workers had access to employee-provided childcare. So if you're a parent and you're trying to work and you're trying to bring in income, you know, if it comes down to your kids or your job, people are going to go for their kids, obviously. But then that shoots you in the leg from being able to work. So one thing that we found out was that there is an employer-provided childcare credit under the Internal Revenue Service Code, Section 45F, that offers employers a tax credit of up to 25% of qualified childcare expenditures and 10% of qualified childcare resource and referral expenditures. So if a business is contracting directly with childcare providers, 25% of the costs. So you as a business owner could do this. Businesses usually only offer this through FSAs or flex spending accounts, but that's pre-tax dollars for you. So therefore, it reduces your payroll taxes. So those are things that we can look at, and I can send out links or have Thomas send out links if you want to know a little bit more about that. Next slide, care.com. So there are a lot of backup childcare options now. Care.com has a program that lets employers provide this as a benefit. It's especially helpful for parents now, like if schools close, suddenly there's an outbreak of coronavirus and your kids aren't going to school and they're doing distance learning again. And now, so care.com has a program for employers to pay the full cost of care. It's probably unreasonable for most, but there are also affordable companies that do drop off and pick up for kids from school. So if your kids need transportation now, next slide. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hop Skip Drive. This is basically the Uber for kids service in Phoenix. I wasn't familiar with it before we started doing research. My business partner knew about it, but this looks like a pretty innovative business model. And again, rideshare is pretty innovative in and unto itself, but we normally think about adults going out and drinking. You know, kids still need to get back in school or to and from intramural sports, or maybe you're at work, but you need your kids picked up from school and brought to the office so you can round out your day and then drive everybody home. Hop, skip, drive looks like a pretty interesting option there. Next slide. This is probably the area that I did the most research into negative customers, and it's really sad. And we've all seen the headlines. We've all experienced this. Probably you guys on the front lines have probably experienced it firsthand. From arguments and assaults on hosts about wearing masks to unruly airline passengers being duct taped to their seats. There's a lot of pent-up aggression right now. People are still reeling. And I think in the future, you know, we'll be able to look back and say, okay, the pandemic did this, and we understand now mentally it did this and it did this, but there are a lot of people that are just waiting to lash out at somebody. I came up for a few strategies for mitigation. And there are kind of two sides to this coin. There's customers and there's employees. But yeah, this slide, be nice or leave. This is kind of the core of the message. I did a lot of research, you guys, and really it just comes down to you need to communicate upfront to your customers, be nice or leave. This is from Brother Jimmy's, established in 1989. It's a barbecue joint in Manhattan, but they've had this neon sign up there for years and years and years. And this message held true in 89 when they opened, and it holds true today. Next slide. This is good vibes only. And I've seen this in a number of places as well. So there was a quote here from Mike McNamara. He's the founder of Hog Island Beer Company in Massachusetts. But he said, to the 97% of y'all who are awesome, thank you. To the remaining 3% of you, your mother called and she has a bar of soap for you to chew on. So basically, he's just coming right out like good vibes only. And these are the hashtags he used in his post. Good vibes only, the customer is not always right. We were probably all trained growing up that the customer is always right. And I think this is one of the things that the pandemic has shown us as well, is that the customer is not only right. So you tell people up front, be nice or leave, good vibes only. This is what you can expect in here. Next slide. We found a really great article that had a lot of information about Rhode Island, and I included some of it in here. But the manager, the GM of the Providence Marriott downtown said, we've always been people pleasers in hospitality, and the customer was always right. Well, they're not. And so if somebody's not acting right, you need to let them know that's not accepted here. Like, you cannot speak to my employees that way. You cannot talk to us that way. Get out. I think it's going to be difficult for some of us to take this leap, but it's important that we do. It's really about setting expectations up front for consumer behavior. Next slide, please. One of the things that I really liked, and I didn't talk about this with Thomas, but maybe there's some collaboration that we could do here. The Rhode Island Hospitality Association put together toolkits for restaurants and hotels and hospitality. And there's kind of two sides to it. There's the consumer facing. Welcome back. We're experiencing a staff shortage. So we ask that you please be kind and patient with the staff that are working here. I've seen this. I drove through a drive-through the other day, and I've seen this a couple times here in Philly where it says, like, please be patient with us. Those of us who did show up today are doing our best to serve you. It's important to remember that it is really hard to attract employees right now. And though we need to appreciate both internally and externally those who do show up for work. The other side of it, mental health resources. So that's a poster for the break room that that offer mental health resources for employees. I think it's important to understand that your employees are your biggest asset, and you need to protect them and set the tone for how it's going to go in your business. Next slide. This is another quote. This is from John Dick. He's the CEO of Civic Science. It's a Pittsburgh consumer research company. But he basically said his approach, if you don't meet our expectations of decorum, leave. The thing is that it's really important. It's not only important to send the message to your customers that if you're going to act that way, it's not accepted here. It's really also very important that you send the message to your employees that you are there for them and that you have their back. And it shows to other customers that this is a kind of place that they want to be. That kind people want to go to places that value kindness. So it's not like you're sticking your neck out there and you're going to lose all your customers, because other customers are going to see this and they're going to say, that's the kind of business that I want to go spend my money in. They look after their employees and they don't tolerate bullshit. Next slide. And this goes back years and years and years. This is Sir Richard Branson. You guys may know him. He flies around in rockets and develops hypersonic airplanes and does all kinds of crazy stuff. But he said, customers do not come first. Employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of your customers. And that's true. And I have a lot of friends that work in service industry. And we've had a lot of conversations over the last 18 months about things. And it's the companies that are taking care of their employees that are retaining their employees. So take care of your employees first. They'll take care of the customers if you do right by the employees. Next slide. So 60% of restaurant workers said they'd suffered from emotional abuse from disrespectful customers. 78% said their mental health had been affected. Again, going back to the Rhode Island Association, providing mental health resources. But according to Black Box Intelligence, a restaurant analytics firm, the answer here, paid vacation. Nearly every single person I know in service who works for a different group, restaurant group or hospitality group or even independents, they've all experienced something new this summer. They got paid vacation. And that's something that had never happened before. I think businesses are finally realizing their business model is shaken up. And like I said before, you've got to pull this out and look at things. You're going to have to factor in things like you're going to have to pay your employees vacation. Yes, even the hourly employees. I just read something this morning about the 10 happiest companies in the world. Adobe had the #1 happiest employee set globally. And one of the things that they did this year, they added 20 days of paid vacation on top of what already existed as part of their benefits package, 20 additional days of paid vacation. So they're ranking globally #1 for providing paid vacation. Your business needs to do it too. Next slide. This is Philly Style Bagels. These guys are here in Philly, little startup, 2-guy operation, started a couple years ago. Wildly amazing product. People love them. Pandemic hit, their business went through the roof. So whereas a bunch of other businesses were like, oh my God, I just lost all my customers, or I'm down to 15% year over year, these guys saw massive growth. And so much so that they kept paying their employees more. In the, I would say 3 months into the pandemic last year, one of the owners told us that he was now paying over $15 an hour. They're now paying over $17 an hour for people to smear cream cheese on bagels. So here's what's happening now. They're paying a living wage for what used to be considered a skillless position. They retain their employees and they're continuing to grow, and their business continues to boom. I think it's very interesting to see something as simple as a bagel company exploding and paying living wages. Next slide. This is a picture from inside of Chew Noodle Bar. This is a small independent restaurant group here in Philly. They own Chew and Nunu. So one of the things that the owners did here, they instituted a flat 3% back of house service fee. So what happens is every single order, whether you're dine in, take out, pick up, whatever, there's a 3% back of house added on top. That goes directly to the hourly staff that's responsible for preparing your food. So at the end of the night, the fees are divvied up and shared among back of house workers, the way front of house traditionally has like shared or tipped out their bartender or pooled money or paid the folks who come around with the tubs of bus. They're bus people. So they're pulling resources, but by adding this flat 3%, this now allows them and funds them. And they said they've had no problems with this whatsoever. And again, I think they're just honest and upfront with their customers about what to expect. They have a phenomenal experience. They have phenomenal food. They have phenomenal service. People are going to pay for it, and they're willing to pay for it. When you have something of quality, people will pay for it. So that was kind of the nuts and bolts of the employee retention stuff and the difficult customers. I'm going to dive really quickly in a couple of marketing trends because that's what you're here for. It's marketing trends. I'm going to cover 3 things that you should have on your radar already. But if you don't, there's resources out there. Next slide, please. So everything audio. We did a trends report on this in April. I think I published this in April of this year because I had already begun seeing audio across a multitude of marketing channels. And there's a lot of different aspects and facets to this, but there's a singular trend that everything's coming back to audio. Interestingly, IKEA put out the first audio catalog this year. So they did away with the paper catalog and it's all audio. Clubhouse has exploded. I don't know if you guys have heard of Clubhouse. It's basically drop-in audio. It's audio social media. It's people talking and it's vocal snippets and talking to one another. They recently opened. It used to be gated. You had to have an invite. Now it's open for everybody, but it's part of this trend. Podcasts through the roof during the pandemic. Listenership has gone through the roof. Tons more people are listening to podcasts, like millions more people listening to podcasts. So much so, this has also been impacting marketing and advertising. So YouTube launched 15-second audio ads. Apparently, so many people have been working from home and using YouTube to play in the background, like people who don't want to pay for Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, will just play playlists of music on YouTube. YouTube created a 15-second audio snippet that's a little buffer that plays in between, like you probably are used to hearing on Pandora or things like that. But the ad inventory is now available and available during podcasts. And then we spoke about this at last year's LFA conference, and we talked about experiential marketing and how restaurant ambience affects bottom line. I could talk about this all day long. I recently wrote about it. Next slide. So this is pretty interesting. Local first, and I think Thomas mentioned it to me, but somebody else brought it to my attention from Local First. I think I read it in one of the e-blasts to go and fill out this profile. There's this company called Turkle. I go on and answer appropriate marketing questions. I've been published a bunch of times now. So one of the things that I got picked up for was 9 tips to write a restaurant business plan. What I wrote about? Audio. I wrote about the actual experience in restaurant. I've worked with enough independent restaurants. I can tell you about day partying. I can tell you about the type of music. I can tell, even if you're just starting up and you're putting together your business plan now, the auditory experience is definitely part of what you need to pay attention to. So again, this plays into the audio trend. Next slide. Even now I'm blanking on the dude's name. Gabe Alonzo. Yeah. So he's the head of digital platforms and community and energy drinks for PepsiCo. But he says that brands have to figure out their audio identity. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about this audio trend, I would say go to our resources page on our website and check out the audio trends report. It's up at the top. Also, you can follow me on LinkedIn or follow Bright Brother Strategy Group on LinkedIn, because I feel like ever since I posted this audio trends report, like 13 more things have come across my radar. And I continue to post them. And I continue to say, hey, remember when we posted that trends report about audio? Well, here's another indicator. Here's another indicator. Just continues to go, continues to go. And I see somebody just commented on LinkedIn, I think from this. Next trend, next slide, TikTok. I'm pretty sure you guys probably all know what TikTok is at this point. It's growing, it's not going away, and it's not just for kids, which is the interesting thing. TikTok is incredibly addictive, and unlike other forms of social media, like Instagram is all about having this beautiful curated feed, and Facebook is about sharing news and events. TikTok is about content and quick, short form video and content. Some of it may seem silly and goofy. We see this happen with every new technology as it progresses. When YouTube first came out, it was just all silly videos. And now you can use YouTube to post webinars and seminars and conduct business and all kinds of things. Every technology medium goes through this maturation process. TikTok has hit peak users. There's an estimated $1.9 billion in revenue this year, which is a 457% increase year over year. They had 837 million active users. They're going to reach a billion by the end of Q4, and it's been downloaded over 3 billion times. TikTok needs to be on your radar right now. And if you're not sure what to do, download the app, open an account, and just start following. I think one of the things, next slide, one of the best examples of TikTok being used locally that I think you can probably identify with or get inspiration from, one of the best case use scenarios we've seen is the Tempe Tourism Office. They have more TikTok followers than Instagram followers, and they have nearly as many as they have Facebook followers, but they've had Facebook for over a decade now. So this shows you how it's exploding, and they do an incredibly good job of it. Granted, they have a team, they have a marketing team that creates digital content for them, but they're doing a really good job, like colors and knowing their audience and knowing what to feature for Tempe overall. Again, take lessons, like look at Tempe Tourism, look at downtown Tempe. They just started a TikTok and they're doing some really cool stuff too. Your individual business, how do all these things relate? Look at what works with the other bigger players and then see what you can replicate for yourself. Next slide. Lastly, I'm going to reiterate again that you need to partner with your local bid or business improvement district. So your downtown Tempe's, your downtown Phoenix, your downtown Scottsdale, downtown Peoria, wherever you are, I'm sure there is an enhanced services district that supplies services beyond what the city's providing. So the city will provide, garbage pickup and fire and police, but these bids are created and they have kind of a pyramid of services that they offer. So they're probably going to offer clean and safe at the bottom, meaning they have ambassadors out there, people sweeping the streets, people taking care of things, maybe pointing people to different businesses. You know what ambassadors are. I'm sure you've all seen them in downtown Phoenix. And then they work on street beautification and, hanging plants off of street poles and street pole banners. But one of their biggest parts of their mission is providing merchant support and business support. So if you're within a bid, you're probably taking advantage of it. Or you could be in a bid and maybe not taking advantage of it. But I can tell you that there are tons of merchant marketing support. There's tons of networking opportunities, but also they tend to be early adopters of technology. Like I said, downtown Tempe has launched TikTok. So they've adopted this marketing trend. TikTok may not hit your business or be an integral part of your business for a couple of years, or it might, but they have thousands more followers on all of their platforms than I bet your business does, which means you now have access to their entire audience. So what you need to do, and here's my big insider tip for you, they are hungry for information about your business. They're always looking for member content to share. And I don't just mean downtown Tempe. I mean every single district and bid and TID and CBD, no matter how they're enshrined in their city's charter. The one complaint I hear consistently from all of them is we can lead our businesses to water, but we can't make them drink. We ask them for their specials. We ask them for their seasonal menu updates. We ask them when they're having sales or events. They are hungry for that. You feed them, you scratch their back, they're going to scratch yours. They're going to take care of you. Basically, if you don't have a marketing agency, look at your business improvement district as kind of an outsourced third-party marketing agency. Because if you give them the information that they need and you're making up flyers or you're making up postcards, you have check presenters, whatever it is, give them the content, digital, handheld, no matter what it is. They also put together all kinds of amazing events, like downtown Tempe is doing this Halloween stroll. There's like 40 businesses participating. They give you the candy. They put you on the map. They drive the customers to your business. Like, what's not to love? It doesn't cost you anything. Foodie strolls. They did several of them this year and sponsored. There you see again the logo, Shop On logo. Downtown Tempe just launched the Discover Tempe Pass. They do all kinds of things, and every single district in Arizona and throughout the country is doing this for you. So you're almost guaranteed marketing exposure online, social media, in their e-blasts, possibly even blogs, and that's all good news for your business. So next slide. Now it's really up to you to implement. I know I covered a lot. There's a lot of ground here. I saw somebody ask a question. Yes, we will send out the PDF afterwards. Also, again, follow me on LinkedIn. Follow Bright Brother Strategy Group. Both, I have my personal profile and the business profile. You can always reach out to me that way and get a hold of me, or we'll send out this after this deck. I think we have some time now, about 15 minutes for questions. I think that Thomas may have been keeping tabs on that. So if there's anything, hopefully I can answer for you guys today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Josh.
Sure.
Lots of ground covered, and always appreciate the insight there. One of the things that came up for me was, a lot of kind of what was of the work that you've done is been really hyper focused on the collaborations, right, between local businesses working directly with a bid, a business improvement district, or a chamber of commerce, or local first Arizona, all these different business groups. For businesses that are out there that maybe have never tapped into that before, or I mean, they see other businesses maybe getting featured and are curious about how they can tap into that, or they can get featured. What are some of the things that they can do to position themselves well for approaching those organizations and saying, hey, like, how can my business get involved? What should they be thinking about to be prepared when they have that conversation?
So, okay, this is good. And I think, Bright Brothers originally started working with mom and pops. In my past life, I worked with big agencies. We worked with Olive Garden and Red Lobster and Sears and Capital Grill and Cox Communications and Discount Tire. And when I left and started my own agency, I was like, I don't care if Olive Garden sells another Never Ending Pasta Bowl. It doesn't matter to me. But what I do care about is if Julian Wright at La Boca on Mill Avenue, sadly not there anymore, so maybe not the best example, but at the time, what I cared about was, could Julian Wright sell more pasta bowls? Or could Copper Star Coffee sell more coffees? How can I bring this level of business experience to help independents, mom and pops, and work up and down the scale? So when I'm saying that there's parallels, everything's just macro and micro. So your independent business, everything that we work with, when we work with entire districts, we still have the independent businesses in mind. It's just the way we're packaging them. So there's the independent business, then you're sitting within your bid, then you're sitting within your city, then you're sitting within your tourism bureau, then you're sitting within Arizona Office of Tourism. Just work the lines of communication up and down. When we talk to independent businesses, a lot of times they'll say, well, I don't have anything to talk about. There's nothing newsworthy going on. You definitely do. You definitely do. And the thing is that if you have fans online, you have people following you on social media, feature your barista, feature your receptionist, feature your front desk person. If you do roll out a new menu or some menu tweaks, or even if you're just testing something on your menu, let people know on social media, let your bid know that you're doing it. Take some nice pictures. Also, here's something that I think is one of the easiest fixes to look great in social media. You can buy a light ring for $25 or a light box, put your dish down in the light box. Almost everybody has an iPhone or a Galaxy that has phenomenal cameras on them. You can take really beautiful images, send that to the bid and say, tonight only we're testing out this new potato frittata, and we'd love if people came in. If you post that and Tempe Tourism posts that and Downtown Tempe posts that, I can guarantee you people are going to be knocking down your door that evening for dinner if you get it out there early enough. And this is also usually where I see the rub is, again, you're so down in your business doing it, not enough lead time to think of what's coming up ahead. You need to be thinking all the time. Right now, journalists want your holiday specials and they want your New Year's Eve specials. Are you actually, have you nailed on your New Year's Eve specials? It's October 7th. We're not thinking the same way the rest of the world works. So as far out as ahead as you can get, let people know I have A, B, C, and D coming up. Even if you don't have all the details, we know we're doing something for Thanksgiving this year. Let them know you're on their radar, and they'll circle back and say, okay, we're about to post this blog. Can you give me details about what the Thanksgiving special is? It's about content exchange. Everybody's hungry for content, whether it's media or your bid or your CVB. They'll all do right by you if you give them content. And so will your consumers that follow you in social.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Josh. If anybody attending today is needing additional support on any of the areas that Josh covered, whether you need help getting a TikTok account set up, thinking through your marketing strategy, what are resources for childcare and support, our team at Local First Arizona is here to help you. We can provide one-on-one assistance for you. We have that time. Please reach out. We will have a recording of this. We'll have a recording of this uploaded and then sent out to everybody so that you have access to it afterwards. And if you'd like to get in touch with Josh, we can, of course, make that happen as well. So thank you again, Josh, for your time. And thank you, everybody, for attending today. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Sure thing. Good luck. Thank you, guys.